YouTube, how we doing, family? It's your boy, Yo, and this is another episode of Yo Hoops. I go through every NBA game every day. Today's Monday, February 9th, and we have a 10-game NBA card. I'm going to walk you through my thoughts and let you know what sides I like, so please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your favorite game in the comment section below. Without further ado, let me get into today's games. Recap yesterday, we swept the board 4-0 against the spread. Obviously, it was a smaller card, so nothing to write home about, but I was able to really build my bankroll heading into the Super Bowl, which worked out nicely. Drake May put up one of the most pathetic performances I've ever seen from a quarterback in the Super Bowl, but if I'm being honest, I'm not the biggest football guy anyways. It was cool to spend some time with friends and family, but I'm ready to get right back into hoops and do what we do. I'm now 39-20. Let me repeat that. 39-20 against the spread on every game played in February. Let's get right back in that win column tonight. In our first matchup of the evening, we have the Detroit Pistons in Charlotte taking on Charlotte Hornets. Pistons are minus 150 on the money line, and the total is 223. I faded Charlotte in their last couple games because I know that a lot of their guys are streaky, but they proved me wrong and continue to play at a high level. I would say Detroit is the biggest test they've faced during this 9-game win streak, and coming off the 40-point blowout against the Knicks, it's hard for me to fade them and jump on the Hornets bandwagon now. The last time these two teams played was on December 20th in Detroit, and the Pistons won that game 112-86. I don't think we see that dramatic of a blowout, but I do see the Pistons having the advantage. I'm taking Detroit laying the 2.5 as my first selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Chicago Bulls in Brooklyn taking on the Brooklyn Nets. Bulls are minus 180 on the money line, and the total is 218. Both teams committed this one with a few key injuries, but I would still say the Bulls are the healthier team. Josh Giddey and Trey Jones are both listed as doubtful, but the Nets have Michael Porter Jr. and Igor Demin both ruled out. Without MPJ, there's no way I'm expecting Brooklyn to keep this game within 4 points, and even if he was in, the Bulls have almost twice as many wins on the season. I'd say they're clearly the better team. That's the way I'm playing it. I'm taking the Bulls laying the 4.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Milwaukee Bucks in Orlando taking on Orlando Magic. Magic are minus 500 on the money line, and the total is 220.5. It looks like Franz Wagner will be back in the lineup tonight, but it may take a game or two for him to find his rhythm, especially with how bad their offense has looked recently. The Magic are now 11-13 against the spread in Orlando. That's not what you want to see if you plan on laying 11 points. Giannis is still ruled out, which is why the line is where it is, but besides that, Milwaukee comes into this one at full strength. I won't say it's my favorite game on the board, but I'll have a few dollars down on the Bucks. Give me Milwaukee plus the 11 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Utah Jazz in Miami taking on Miami Heat. Heat are minus 300 on the money line, and the total is 240. The Heat come into this one on the second leg of a back-to-back, flying from Washington, D.C. back home to Miami. They got the dominant win over the Wizards last night, so all of their guys did play less than 30 minutes. Obviously, there are some question marks surrounding the Jazz after adding Triple J, but I can't lie, they look good in that last game against the Magic. Easily got the cover, and if Will Hardy let his starters play late, they damn well might have won it. They have a huge advantage in height tonight. Bam is 6'9", and that's Miami's starting center. I see a similar situation to the Magic game playing out, where the Jazz compete and probably lose this one by something like 6. I'm taking the Jazz plus the 7.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Atlanta Hawks in Minnesota taking on Minnesota Timberwolves. Wolves are minus 235 on the money line, and the total is 239.5. The Wolves come into this one on the second leg of back-to-back, but no travel as they remain at home. They got their doors blown off by the Clippers last night, but a few other guys were able to conserve minutes. I typically hate betting with the Wolves at home, but after dropping their last 2 in a row, I think 6.5 is a fair number. Atlanta is sorting through a few trades, so until they figure out their lineup, I don't see them as some dominant team. I'm taking the Wolves laying the 6.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Sacramento Kings in New Orleans taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans are minus 330 on the money line, and the total is 231.5. I think the line is telling us everything we need to know. The Pelicans laying 8 is a statement. Not only are the Kings currently on a 12-game losing streak, but now they come into this one severely banged up. Zach LaVine, Malik Monk, and DeAndre Hunter are all ruled out. Then Domantas Sabonis is listed as questionable. I can see a reality where Westbrook has a second unit hooping and finds a way to lose it by 6, but I can't bet my money hoping he turns back the clock. I'm taking the Pelicans laying the 8 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Cleveland Cavaliers in Denver taking on the Denver Nuggets. This game's a pick'em. You can find minus 110 on either side, and the total is 240. I have high expectations for Cleveland moving forward, but I can't say I was impressed by James Harden's debut on Saturday. He had a solid game himself, but they were barely able to beat the Kings as 14-point favorites. Obviously, Denver's dealing with a few key injuries themselves, but Jokic is listed as probable. That's all I really need to know in the Mile High City. I'm taking the Nuggets on the money line as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Memphis Grizzlies in Golden State taking on Golden State Warriors. Warriors are minus 410 on the money line, and the total is 220 and a half. This is one of my least favorite games on the board just because of all of the injuries and trades. Steph Curry is still ruled out, and the Dubs haven't looked impressive in their last few games. They've now lost 3 of their last 4, and the one win was against the Suns without Devin Booker. Memphis is basically running their second string, but we've kind of seen that all season, and they stay competitive. A lean at best, but I'll lean to the Grizzlies plus a 9.5 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Oklahoma City Thunder in Los Angeles taking on Los Angeles Lakers. Thunder minus 260 on the money line, and the total is 223.5. Both teams come into this one without their best players. Luka Doncic and SGA are both ruled out. That obviously benefits OKC. The Thunder are a deep and resilient team, while the Lakers entirely rely on their stars. There's not even too much I can say on this one, except the Thunder are running these boys out of their own gym. I'm taking the Thunder laying the 7 as my next selection of the evening. In our next matchup, we have the Philadelphia 76ers in Portland taking on Portland Trailblazers. Sixers are minus 150 on the money line, and the total is 228.5. I'm not in love with this game in general, but considering how banged up the Blazers are, I'd have to lean towards Philly. Shadon Sharp is ruled out, then Danny Advia and Robert Williams are both listed as questionable. Philly's currently the number 1 road team in the league with an ATS record of 17-7. Even though I do see this one coming down to the wire, they should get it done by more than a bucket. I'm taking the Sixers laying the 3 as my last and final selection. And that's going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. Unreal first week of February. Let's keep the momentum rolling and get right back in that win column tonight. I appreciate the support so much. I do this every day for free, so please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It's your boy, Yo! And until the next one, I'ma catch y'all. Peace.